Hi, everybody. So, have you been feeling like you're living life lately without all the usual sources of joy and pleasure that you're used to? If that's the case, then I want to talk to you today about how we're all living with less. I'm Ricki Heller from rickiheller.com, and I help people on restricted diets learn to love eating their food again, even as their bodies heal, so that they can go on to live their very best lives. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was saying how she had been helping her parents who were about to move into an assisted living home. And so she had gone over to help them pack, and this is in the midst of COVID. And so she wasn't even going to actually be allowed to stay in the place with them once they moved in, and they had to have tests and all that as soon as they got there. But she was actually helping them pack up their home that they had lived in for like over 40 years. And then they were going to take all the boxes to their new assisted living place. And so she scheduled 2 days to do this. And she said that as the day, the first day was a bit slow, but they got some stuff done. And as the second day wore on, she started to get really tense because every time she pointed to something like a box or an item that she wanted to pack up, and they would find all these boxes of little doodads or just things that, how you throw things in a drawer and you save them that way, whatever. They'd found all this stuff as they were going through, and she would say to her dad, "So is this something that we should pack, or is this something that we should, give away, throw away?" And he would say, "Well, I really need to think about that one. I don't think we should get rid of that yet." And every time he packed something, he went through this long sort of internal struggle around whether to keep it or whether to give it away. And you can imagine, because these people had lived in this home for 40 years, the entire length of their marriage just about. And if you have ever lived in one place, even for a little bit, you know how much you can accumulate, right? And her parents are in their 80s now. And so it was very frustrating for her. And by the end of the second day, they had to get everything in boxes for the movers. And so she just said, "You know what, Dad, you're going to have to deal with this at the new place. Sorry, it's all going in the boxes. You can go through them one at a time when you get there." And he got to the place, and of course, he had so much more stuff than could possibly be unpacked in that one bedroom, apartment that he and his wife now had, versus their home of many bedrooms and a living room and a dining room and a backyard and all those things, right? And so you might be feeling a little bit like that now that we're all sheltering at home, and so many of the usual sources of fun and pleasure and even entertainment and just socializing and all the things that we're used to are really not available to us, right? And so I've been talking to people who are feeling incredibly stressed out that they can't get their usual food. They can't go visit their friends. They can't even get the normal amenities of day-to-day life, like toilet paper. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on Costco's site trying to find toilet paper, and it's always sold out, right? And this can be extremely stressful. So I was thinking about why that is, because let's face it, if you are watching me now, and in my case too, we are not in a life-threatening situation at the moment, right? I have my house around me, I have enough to eat, and so on. So it actually made me remember a time when I was in my early 30s and I bought a house. I was determined that I was going to own a house by myself. And the way it worked out, which was really serendipitous, was a dear friend's brother-in-law was someone who renovated houses for a living. And so he agreed. He said, "You know what? I'm between houses, and I bought this really old, rundown, a First World War era, little tiny house, and it really needed a lot of work." And he said, "You know what? I'm between houses. I'll just do the work for you, like for free." Amazing deal. And so I went and I, decided what colors I wanted, and I bought the appliances for this little kitchen and whatnot. And basically, I told him what to do. Hey, Joni. I told him what to do at the house. And so the way it worked out was on moving day. Now, I had been living on my own for about 20 years at that point, and I had been living in various towns, and everywhere I moved, I brought everything with me. So I had accumulated all this stuff from 20 years of living, and I had been in a rental house before that. So, I had all the kitchen, all the accoutrements of a house, the mini appliances like a food processor and pots and pans and dishes and clothes and like you name it. And the way it worked out, because he had so much work to do on my little house, was on moving day, the movers put all my boxes in the living room, piled them all up, covered it with a blue plastic tarp, and my friend John got to work fixing the house. Now, I had a little hot pot to boil water. I had a microwave at the time, and I had a suitcase full of clothes. I didn't know how long it was going to take, but it ended up taking 3 months. And in those 3 months, I lived out of that suitcase, and I ate food that I could make in a hot pot or in a microwave. And the only running water in the whole house was in the bathroom upstairs in the tub. So I used to brush my teeth in the bathtub, and I took my showers in the bathtub, and I washed my face in the bathtub. Did my laundry, I did hand laundry in the bathtub, and anything else I had a good friend who let me use her washing machine. But the point of the story is 3 months of living with none of my things except for the clothes basically on my back. And it wasn't, it was inconvenient, but I wasn't suffering about it. Not the way that for so many of us, this now feels like suffering, because we are upset that we can't go about our daily routines and we're missing the things that we normally have access to. And so I asked myself, what was it about that experience? If we look at my friends' parents who couldn't part with even the smallest thing, and here I was living for 3 months with almost nothing that I owned, and I didn't feel like that was a negative experience. So what was the difference? And the only difference was the perspective, right? How we interpreted what was going on. So to those people, and as I said, it's totally understandable, you move from your home of 40 years to a brand new apartment where you have to get rid of, probably 75 or 80% of your stuff, which holds memories, which holds meaning for you, and start this new life in your apartment. And they didn't choose to do that. They're elderly and they kind of had to do that. Whereas in my case, I was so excited to own my first home, and it was being renovated according to what I wanted it to look like. So it was a happy occasion, and I had the future in mind, right? I was working towards that final goal of knowing that when this was all over, I was going to have what I wanted. I was going to have something that made me happy. And I think for us to thrive during this time now, if you're struggling and if you're feeling like it's unfair, that you can't have access to the things you want, or it feels like a huge challenge to get through the days without access to all the usual things in our lives that just make life easier for us, one way to get through that is to do that exact thing, to change the perspective. What about this situation is amazing and wonderful and fabulous? And there are things that are amazing and wonderful and fabulous. And sure, there are things that are scary and anxiety provoking and stressful, and I am not immune to those either. But I think if we are able to manage our emotions and our thoughts around these events and really focus our minds on the more positive and productive aspects of it, when we come out, we're going to be different people, we're going to be better people, and the world around us is going to be better for us too. And you'll probably be amazed at all the things that you thought were essential in your life that you will no longer need once you come out the other end. So I hope that was useful. I'd love to hear what you are focusing on while you're sheltering at home, if you are. And what is your goal for when you come out of it? What do you want to be your life situation when you come out the other end? And how are you going to make it better so that you have something positive to draw you forward when that time comes? Let me know in the comments, and I hope that you will subscribe to my newsletter. It's at rickiheller.com/subscribe. Hi, Maya. And I also wanted to let you guys know I have a free PDF guide. It's called the 3 simple shifts you can make now to stay on track with your healthy eating. If you are having problems sticking to your healthy diet, if you're on a restricted diet, as am I, and you're finding that you are missing many of your usual ingredients or many of the regular foods, and you're not sure how to navigate this time without kind of letting it all fall off the wagon, then just go to rickiheller.com/3, the number 3 simple shifts, SHIFTS, 3 simple shifts, and you can grab that guide there as well. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon.